Hi guys, the weather's not as good as it has been. We're expected to get a storm, so I'm glad that I got in swimming when I could and got a bit of gardening done. But yeah, the best thing for your head is getting out in the warm weather. It's still very warm. I'm in tracksuit bottoms, but only for the insects because I've got long legs and the insects sure do love to bite them. So what I just want to talk about today was something that really bothered me, really annoyed me. And I've seen a few of these and they're always the same. Where it shows like an autistic kid and having a tantrum, you know, a meltdown as they call them. The sun's come out now, it's nice. But what annoyed me was really the comments about it. Just one sec before I start ranting. Let's look, the field is growing beautifully. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's the little things that excite me. Still a lovely day, but I say the heavens are about to open. The plague of locusts and everything. But yeah, so I just do that sometimes to get myself relaxed before I go on a rant. But I was looking at behavioural problems that autistic kids had, and you know, the bruises the parents and other kids had suffered, and as well as caregivers, you know, SNAs, etc. And I'm looking to kind of get into that work over this summer. Everything's so slow moving though, which is really annoying, but gotta show patience. I think I can come at it from a more understanding point of view, you know. Well, good boy. But like when you hear about it, you're kind of like, that's not very helpful. Like some people in the comments are saying, oh, I hope that you never have normal kids, quote unquote, neurotypical kids, because this monster will put them through a lot of suffering. It's like, that's really helpful to say, isn't it? Oh, fucking hell. I would have thought in this day and age we would have come a bit further than that, but obviously not. Good boy. Let you out there. Yep. Let you off. Good lad. He's just good boy. Off he goes. Just go into my little corner. Oh. In case anyone's wondering, I've been out in the garden again and just decided to go straight for a walk, so got a bit of grass and stuff on me. But yeah, it's kind of like we tolerate you, but that's all, you know, and that makes me sick to think that that's what people do still nowadays. And I fear that it's true. I know it's true. Like, I don't think for a second that there aren't kids out there who do put their families through hell. I was one of them. And I know, you know, but I think it's important to let autistic people know they can't keep doing it because they're affecting people around them. You know, it's not alright to act like that. And you've got varying levels, I know, so it might be harder to engage some people. You know, some of them aren't very responsive or receptive. Talking down to them like they're a simpleton, I don't think ever gets you anywhere, and I've heard people do it and they still do it. Makes me feel really bad just saying it, you know, because you're there going, these monsters, and you're kind of like, well, how are you treating them? How's their life in school? I was constantly teased and picked on, and I retaliated, and then I brought that home with me, you know, that anger and that aggression. everyone was annoying me, poking me, literally, and I snapped. And I don't see anything wrong with that. What I do see something wrong with is bringing it home and, you know, making life difficult at home, but it's not as if things were peachy at home either. And teachers literally said to my mum I was the worst and most aggressive case they'd ever seen, when there was another kid always in trouble and he never had to change who he was. It pisses me off seeing him going around and people, you know, pitying him or saying how great he is because isn't he wonderful going off doing this, and he's doing what he wants to do. You know, I had to change everything about myself, a lot anyway, to fit into other people's moulds. And Ryan Kelly's a great channel, I really like his stuff, you know, and he basically just says how we have to fit into your mould. And when I tried to better myself, I wasn't given much sympathy. You know, like, I've worked in jobs where it's stressful, yeah, I take a bit longer to process things, but because I show competence, people think, oh, he's fine, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you, and there's no sympathy given. You have to be throwing stuff across the room, having temper tantrums all the time to get any sort of sympathy. And then in that case, people tolerate you, but they don't like you. And one thing that really fucking boiled my blood was when we were given an example on dealing with customers with disabilities. Right, so it was called the DARE scheme, and it's basically teaching employers and employees how to handle a customer that has a disability, you know, and sometimes it could be autism, which is hidden, especially if you're high functioning. And I was thinking, why is it always a customer? What about if you're an employee? Then what? You're fair game, you're capable of working, so therefore we can treat you like shit. And when I did stand up for myself in work, I was accused of being a bully myself. I just remember hearing a customer coming in before, and I was serving her, I was chatting to her, she was fine, she gave a tip and everything, and we were chatting away, and then she was talking to me and another girl that I worked with, and they were talking about her nephew, and she said, oh, he's got autism, he's a nightmare. I was like, maybe he is, but is that really the way people see us, you know? Like, that's why I adapted, because I was like, fuck me, like, is that really how we're saying we're tolerated but we're not accepted? And that seems to be it. Like, I've changed so much about myself to fit into everybody else's mould. I've pushed stuff down, you know, and stopped being me, basically, to appease everybody else. And I acknowledge, like, some of my behaviours were not fair, you know, I couldn't keep going with them. And that's why I talk about the importance of sport, but I tried my fucking hardest. And now people say, oh, fair play to you, you know, well done, and it's like, I appreciate it, yeah, like I do. And I have met a lot of very understanding and tolerant people who are like, just let me know any way you can help, you know, it isn't doom and gloom. And they'll give me examples of people in their family who are quite bad with autism and ask for advice, and I'm like, happy to help, yeah, absolutely no problem. I push myself to do stuff, and I don't think you should be just told, oh, never push yourself, never try, you know. How are you going to grow as a human being, you know? You're not. But hearing unhelpful comments like, oh, I hope your normal children aren't affected by this monster. Fuck off. Do you hear the thunder there? Wow. That was loud. I thought it was a bin truck or something coming by. But you're basically encouraged not to try, because I tried so hard and I was overstimulated. I pushed everything down, I masked the fuck and it burnt me out. I got spoken down to, I felt terrible that I couldn't do a job to the same level as everybody else. Wasn't trained properly in a lot of jobs I got, which affects me more than a neurotypical person. It just does. I was put on trainings with people who shouldn't have been training me, you know? You know, like staff that were mentally ill who should not have been training me because they didn't have the fucking patience to train me. I was told I'd be given a month's training in some jobs, and I was only given a day, and I was told I needed to know everything. I've been chucked in the deep end and mastered the retail skill of bullshittery. You know, just bullshitting people, pretending you know what you're talking about when you don't, because you haven't got the appropriate training. Because people just go, get on with it, you know, you're fine, get over yourself. And when you show confidence, people are like, you're fine. So what are you complaining about? And if I don't know how to use something, a piece of equipment, let's say, what they'll say to me is, oh, you've been here for a year and you don't know. How do you not know? It was like, because I was never shown and I was never told I needed to. So how am I supposed to know if you don't tell me? And I had people taking the piss out of me in multiple jobs I worked in. Uncle Jammer Talks was saying it, and there's a good video of his. Respect, as he always says. Respect. But I feel him, I know what he's talking about, because I had the same thing. Didn't have people, you know, stealing lunch on me or whatever in the workplace, but I had people before, you know, with deliveries in a shop. What they used to do was they used to send me in to get the deliveries, and I didn't cop onto it until I saw them both laughing, and I went in to get it, and I looked everywhere and it wasn't there. Then they sent another fella in and he found it. I was like, how? You know, it's just not possible unless you were fucking taking the piss. It took me a while to cop on to certain things, but you're not really encouraged to better yourself. That's the point I'm making. And people saying, oh, you know, this monster that we tolerate. So what, you're just supposed to stay stuck for the rest of your life and not bother your arse trying to get any better? I've actually reached out for help, you know, looking for a bit of fucking assistance with getting a job, because I do struggle and it's burnt me out time and time again. And I could push through before, but now I can't. And all I'm getting is, oh, you're not asking for an awful lot, but we don't have any positions. And you see sites like As I Am or Specialist Stern, and they're posting stuff ahead as well, IT and working in a post room. That's it. If you don't fit into that fucking mould, you're not getting anything, basically. Doesn't seem to be much hope given to any autistic people, and I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right at all. I think the general population are getting a lot more understanding, for sure, and I've met a lot of understanding people, so I can't complain in that regard. You know, and you're going to experience difficulty when you're growing up, but hearing shit like that's not helpful. It shows that a lot of people haven't come very far. Are we just supposed to give up because we have challenges, so don't even bother trying? Settle for less, you know, have a menial job, never achieve anything because, you know, you're not capable of it. We don't understand you, so don't bother us. Here you go now, off into the corner with you like a good little boy. Never hope to achieve anything in your fucking life. Sounds great, doesn't it? It doesn't fill me with much hope, so doesn't fill me with more. But that's why I make these videos, you know, to talk about my own experiences, because I've done an awful lot and it's burnt me out. It's like, if people just understand that we're well aware of what's going on around us, a lot of autistic people are, we're not fools. We just can't communicate it as well to you, you know. So that's it. A lot of us are trying to better ourselves, but it's not fucking easy. Alright, I'll wrap it up there.